It's live. I am with Andrew from the DeBoerium channel, and we are going to talk about almost whatever comes up, but we do have a few things that we're going to look at. He did an experiment that was pretty cool. We're going to look at, and then, yeah. So if you want to introduce yourself, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm Andrew from the channel DeBoerium. It's quite a small channel. I think it has 8 subscribers, so significantly less than yours. But I just do random science and physics videos on there because I really enjoy science and physics. Well, physics because chemistry is more interesting, in my opinion. And we're here to discuss flat Earth and whatever comes up.
Sounds cool. I think I got to figure something out with, I screwed up and I accidentally, oh wait, here we go. Uh-oh, what did I do? I'm trying to figure out, I think I bumped the button so that you're showing and I can pick me or you. I didn't know that. I know it now. But there's something, let's see. Profile? Whoa, what did I do? I hope I didn't do something. Oh, that was me. It opened up my Google page or something. So, oh, that must be your phone. A message or something. So I have to figure out how to fix this thing back. Why don't I maybe do the screen share? Why don't we go to your channel and check it out? Is that cool?
Yeah, just ignore the 2 spelling errors in the end because my phone is just stupid. So.
Oh, I hear that. I have a lot of spelling errors. Trust me. Okay, I'm gonna try to do screen share over to. Whoops. Is that the right one? We'll find out. I think that's the right one. It's gravity. Let's see here. Present to everyone. And I'll go. Whoops. Okay, the DeBoerium channel. Can you see that?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna. Let's see. Which one should we watch? Is it the Cavendish?
The Cavendish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we might skip around a little bit, but yeah, this was a lot of work to do this. So let's see here. I think I have the volume on. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna go full screen. Oops. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit.
By Henry Cavendish in the late 1700s, and it was used to demonstrate gravity. Now, this is the basic setup that you're going to. You have a string, and then you have a bar with 2 weights on the ends of the bar. And then you set 2 larger masses on the sides, and then the bar moves to those masses because of gravitational acceleration. This is where I will be conducting the.
So what I'll do is, since just to save time, because he basically taped everything that he did, videotaped it. He even made his own. We'll watch that a little bit. Just what the pieces that you had there. That was cool.
Use the copper wire to ground everything, so electromagnetic influence won't influence the apparatus at all. And this is the lead I'm going to be using as the weight. I have quite a bit, like I'd say 30 pounds of lead here.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'll be remelted down this lead in the shape of a ball. I'll use this as a main cast. I'll put.
That was a lot of work to do, and I gotta hide this thing. Okay, let's see here. I just want to kind of show basically. Okay, so he hung it there. He did everything like as perfect as anyone could, I think. Probably even hard to get that wire centered on there, isn't it?
Yeah, it took a little bit.
Yeah, just to get it to balance the same. But he did, and then what he did was he left it, and here's where he melted down all the lead, which was very cool. We'll watch that for a second. I'm just gonna turn the volume down a little bit, or off actually. Then we can just kind of talk about it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, so tell us what you were doing here. This was cool.
Yeah, so I built a furnace a few years ago because I was really interested in casting.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
This experiment came up, and I'm like, well, I have 30 pounds of lead lying around that I got from my grandfather. And
cool.
Then I was like, well, might as well. I have one of the spheres with me right here.
I'll have to. It's because I'm screen sharing. We'll have to show it after we do the video.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so then I proceed to float some steel balls on top of the molten aluminum. I mean,
Yeah,
not
that was
it's
cool
lead.
too. That was cool too. I like that.
Yeah, and a lot of flat earthers claim for that to disprove gravity.
No,
Did you
it
know
it
that?
doesn't. It really what it does is it just any anything on Earth will act a certain way against other things, and certain things will be higher, heavier, lighter, depending on what they're in, the medium that they're in. But yeah, so you made these half spheres, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
which they look heavy now.
Yeah, they're 15 pounds each,
Wow.
and they're like the size of your fist.
Yeah, they're huge. Took a lot of melting down to get that.
Yeah. I also did it on like an extremely hot day as well.
Oh,
So
makes it even worse.
yeah, so we had like a giant furnace going, and it was like 100 degrees out.
So you're like every time you walk up to it, it's like, oh. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's see what the experiment did, because you even did time lapses. That was really cool. So basically, that's what he's got set up, and then he walked away, and he's got it kind of blocked off from any like disturbing wind or anything like that. Plus, it was like it looks like it was in a basement or something. There's really probably
Yeah.
not much wind at all. Air isn't really moving at all. So
Yeah, and the reason why I was gonna attach the string to the ceiling,
mhm.
but then people walk above it, so then I had to
Oh,
make,
it would shake it. Yeah, good idea. I never even
yeah,
thought of that. I wouldn't have thought of that because yeah, that creates some, uh, you know, some problems if you're trying to get a consistent experiment going.
yeah, and then the back panel fell during that time,
Oh
so I
yeah,
was like,
so
I
that's why
have to
you
do it
did it.
again because some people might
Yeah,
say that influences it.
and who knows? It could. Um, and this is an interesting experiment because if we were gonna, oh, that's right, you put the camera on it. I forgot how you did that. That was
Yeah,
clever. That was cool. So I'm guessing the time lapse will be coming up pretty soon here, where
yeah,
we can
it's right
actually
after.
watch it. Yeah, so we can watch it, and his experiment shows something. So, like to deny what it's showing wouldn't make much sense. So there we go. Boom. And see how it bounces a little, but then it's going to go back, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's about how long did you say that was? About 20 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, it was like 25.
Okay.
That's it's the one it stopped recording. It like did a bunch longer because I just left the room
Okay.
for
So
about
it
an
kind
hour
of,
or two.
so it, I mean, we can see there. It's definitely they're definitely attracted to each other
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, when it bounced, it would maybe keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have
So
just went the other
and
way.
then the wire is such a small strand. I just don't see. Oh, nice! You had the warning on there too. That was cool.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna pause this, or I can't now. Let's see here. I'll just replay it and hit the pause button. Okay. Let's see. Gravity. Let's just look at what. Should we look at Wikipedia or what?
yeah,
That'll work.
yeah. So the current understanding of gravity was Einstein's theory of general relativity, which it it destroys Newton's theory of gravity because Newton's equations worked for calculating how gravity would affect things, but
Mm-hmm.
he didn't understand what was actually causing it.
Okay.
So Einstein came there, and then he saw a big problem because Newton thought if the sun would disappear, the gravitational effect of it would instantaneously affect Earth, and it would immediately leave its orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Einstein was doing a bunch of things with light, and then he found that light was the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew nothing could move faster than light,
Yep.
nor can energy. So
Nothing
then
that we know of.
that was a big problem with Newton's theory.
So then relativity came along, or that idea.
Yeah, so basically instead of it being a force, it's mass warping three-dimensional space-time, and this is kind of hard to
Actually,
understand.
you know what's funny? That video that I paused that was up after your video, this one right here is what you're talking about right now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it more visualized.
I wonder what channel this is. I'm sure it's fine. We'll just watch this while you're talking.
Yeah, so he does this. I've seen this video multiple times. He does a really great job of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Einstein did this theory because I've seen other flat earthers bring this up before. If the moon was falling into orbit and accelerating towards Earth, the moon would accelerate faster than the speed of light eventually.
Why is that? Why do they say that?
Because on Earth, the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters a second.
Oh, you're
So
okay.
after 1 second, it's like 38.
Like free falling, you mean, right? Basically, or something free falling.
Yeah. So it was more of like it warps space-time as in this video, and then the two masses attract.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he got her in the video to do an orbit. So he places one big one in the middle, and then he rolls a heavy ball and a smaller ball.
Yeah, and
then the other one rotates around the biggest one. The smaller one rotates around that medium-sized one.
Yeah, and the whole thing about this experiment is you have to imagine it with no drag at all. So
yeah, and it's in 3 dimensions.
Yes, but this is a very close way to demonstrate the heliocentric idea, like with gravity and attracting, I guess mass attracting mass.
Yeah.
Which it does. Yeah, I mean it doesn't. Yeah, sort of. But yeah, I like the amount of work they went into to make this thing. they got little machines. You know what Elon Musk says? He says to get into orbit, like terminal velocity and all that, or orbital velocity, to get to that, you have to do the opposite of what we're watching that marble do. That's what he said. Basically, you have to twing up that.
And that takes a lot of energy to do.
Yep. And see, that's where, when I first started believing flat Earth, it was mostly because of the ground under our feet. But one interesting thing is that a lot of it is like where our thinking starts from. Do you know what I mean? Because yeah, I think I've mentioned it to you before, how it seems like the I guess we don't imagine ourselves living on Earth if we're talking about everything else spinning. Do you know what I mean? Or I mean everything else going around everything else and all this other stuff. To me, it's just if we stay on the ground all the time, we would never imagine anything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the problem with that is there's evidence to suggest that we are moving, and others otherwise they'd never come to that conclusion.
That's what'll be interesting for me and you to talk about, actually, because I actually think quite the opposite as far as like movement or whatever you want to call it. Should I go? I'll go back to stop screen sharing for a while. Since I'm screen sharing, should I show one quick video that I just wanted to point one thing about this shadow of the eclipse. I just wanted to point one thing out about you that I didn't even really think about until after I made those last videos and stuff. But if we just watch, if we watch these clouds, this is like quite significant, I think. If we just watch these clouds during the time when that shadow goes over, you'll see how short of a time it is by kind of, I mean, not exactly or something, but kind of by how how far the clouds move. So we have the shadow, and then it's actually 2.5 minutes until right now. So see, the clouds really did not move very far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I just was trying to point out that about it's quite a distinct shadow that we were under. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That line going across, I mean, it's like very distinct, I think. But that's another subject we can talk about later. But I just wanted to show or point that out because I didn't actually point that out to anyone because I just kind of noticed it. But oh, now we're stuck looking at this. See what I mean? I'm just saying that it should literally be like that marker line. So
yeah, but the problem with that's the path of totality, which
yeah.
is different because you said that people were not noticing a change in the shadow anywhere else except for the path of totality.
Well,
But they would have to be.
I didn't mean like entirely. I mean that the people that I was with even were surprised, and I was surprised that it didn't really get dark until totality. I mean, it could be gradual. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go back to here and stop, and we'll see if this works. If you talk and your name or your face comes on, then we'll have it all set.
Okay, is it working?
Oh, it's not working. Let me think of what I got to do here. There are some options. Whoops. Hide from broadcast. Let's try that.
You seem to be muted.
I was muted. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably stop playing with buttons, but it seems like it's working now.
It's working?
It's working. Okay.
Yeah.
That was I'll stop playing with buttons. So yeah. What were we going to talk about that was kind of interesting, or that we were in like disagreement on just a minute ago? I can't remember now. Short memory span.
Was it the shadow of the eclipse?
Oh, or the movement of Earth.
Yeah, movement.
That was like it. That was something where I think that instead of someone proving that that there's no motion of Earth, I think it should kind of be the other way around, that we should prove that there is motion of the Earth. Because, I mean, I'm holding a cup with orange juice in my hand, and it's definitely not like moving that way. You know what I mean? Like shaking or something. And if we were rotating, we wouldn't necessarily feel that. But what I'm saying is that where's the evidence that the ground is moving at all? Like rotating even? Like if the Earth was that it was rotating like this, I'm saying.
Yeah, well, because I've heard something that you said that you don't believe that we could model a flat Earth. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think we could accurately. Sorry, I was having a drink there. I don't think we could accurately model the Earth. Like, obviously, we know how to get places, and it like on using the like if you went Google Earth, you could use that great circle route, and the flights work, right? I mean that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's very close or whatever, but a flat Earth, I think that we would have to literally go to these places to really know. Do you know what I mean? Like if the oceans are a lot bigger in the south, and like I don't really know. That's one thing that I couldn't tell you either way, but I can tell you that in the Bible, there is a lot of talk about men falling prey to seducing spirits and false doctrine in the or false science. It even says science falsely so called, I think, in the King James version. But I think we have to be careful for that too, that we're not assuming anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you believe that it's some type of circle-based flat map?
Yeah,
For
I think it's generally like that. What's the one that's kind of popular that you see like on a lot of memes and a lot? Actually, I think it's on my Facebook profile. Actually, it's just like, you know, with like ice going around it and the North Pole in the middle. You've seen it 100
Yeah.
times.
So this is now here's a question. Do you agree that the sun moves 15 degrees an hour anywhere you are on Earth?
Like from any apparent position on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. Now, I think
So
it might, it's hard to tell precisely because it does change as it gets closer to the horizon slightly. But I think that a lot of that is because of the thick air that we're looking through.
yeah. So this is this is like a giant hole in flat earther type maps or any type of flat based map. Is that anywhere where you position the sun, you will not get 15 degrees 15 degrees everywhere. The only place that you'd get 15 degrees an hour is if you were standing at the North Pole.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to picture.
You're saying like the actual location of, if it was, I think that to picture it that way, I do understand what you're saying, but what if like inside of that firmament, or, you know, I'm not necessarily like trying to define everything where it's at, but in the firmament of heaven is where the stars and the host of heaven are, or whatever. And that's a celestial place. So it's like a not material. I'm just giving you my beliefs or like my understanding. It's not like a material place. So that, to me, I mean, everybody that is alive has the sun come up and go down everywhere on Earth. And yes, the globe, if we were on a globe and it was spinning, that would make sense. I mean, obviously, I lived 38 years before I switched my thinking. So, yeah, definitely it makes sense on a globe, the way that we see it. But to me, when I really think about it, the ground is what we would have to look at to decide what the ground is like. Do you know what I'm saying? If we assume it's a sphere and we assume we're spinning and we have our world does think this, like believe this, and I know that. I'm not arguing with the fact that everybody in the world thinks it's a globe. Not almost everybody in the world. But when we look at the ground itself, it doesn't appear to be a globe. So that's interesting for sure, because we have a lot of pictures from space and we have a lot of data that comes daily, every moment from up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thinking?
So the only possibility to have the 15 degrees per hour is if you have a globe rotating Earth. You can't make any type of map with 15 degrees an hour everywhere.
Like with the sun in a spot, like in a taking up part of the air, or what, like being a material thing basically is what kind of what I'm saying is.
Well, it's more of the light.
Doesn't work out. Oh, sorry, what?
It's more of the light. It doesn't matter. Like the only possible explanation as here this would be better to explain it. So you have the light coming in this way from a sun that's really far away and really large, and then this would basically, if I tilted this for 24 hours, that's how fast the Earth would spin.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did that for 24 hours, there'd be 15 degrees of movement. Because it takes 24-ish hours. It's like 23, 90,
Yeah,
60 something
23,
seconds.
96, I think, something like
Yeah, it's kind of
pretty much
wonky there.
that little bit less is so that it's pointing back at the sun each start of each day. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you already knew that, I'm sure.
Yeah, so if the light's coming in, the Earth would, because it moves 15 degrees an hour, since 24 hours divided by 360 would be 15. So if you rotate that 15 degrees an hour, anywhere you're standing on this, the sun would move 15 degrees an hour.
Yep.
So you wouldn't be able to have that work on any type of flat Earth map or any type of map in general.
I agree.
Yes. So then that's the problem. If the Earth was flat, then how could you possibly have a sun that we observe these things?
Yeah. No, you got a good point. But that's where 2 years ago, I'm just sharing with you. 2 years ago, I would have said, oh, that's all fake. I would have told you a lot of it was fake. And because I wouldn't have been able to explain a lot of it. I would have said, space is fake. The Earth is flat. That's what I would have said. But after just learning for a lot, mostly from the Bible and from like the Book of Enoch and Second Esdras, Jasher, and mostly the Bible though, it's telling me a lot, like so much information about this deception. And I'm just like, I'm giving you the flat earther insider information, or what I'm learning anyway. This mystery in the Bible, in Revelation, this mystery Babylon, which is like what the whole world worships, like at the end. I think that is because Enoch says that there's 7. He went, like, he got a tour of heaven basically, and whether or not it's Bible, I don't know. Like if it's inspired by God, I don't know. I'm not concerned with that, but just the things he says explain a lot of the things that John says in Revelation, or John sees in Revelation, to me anyway. So I think it's like the flat earth thing is, I think the ground is flat, and I think water is a straight line when it's at rest, not following that curve. And I think we can prove that simply by, like, we've been over this a lot, looking at the water at the lake, right? But that's another subject that you could look at it either way. You could, but it gets extreme. It gets extreme, I think, to be considering some of that after you do the math. Like, so the lake is only 20 miles or whatever, and that's like kind of borderline where you'd be able to tell these things as defined. But when we're talking like hundreds of miles or 100 miles or more, I mean, it's hard to even see through the air that far. But
yeah,
but people have, and that's like, there's some crazy ones out there, like standing on a mountaintop, seeing a mountaintop, like I think like 147 miles away or something, and it should be,
you're
like,
talking about the world record breaking photo,
something like
the picture
that.
on the mountain. It's like crazy. Yeah,
I'm just saying that if we're on the sphere, it would have to be really big, I think, like really a lot bigger than we even think, like than 25,000 miles in circumference. It would have to be more like 200,000 miles, and no more than that even. I don't know. I'm just saying, because of that curve that has to happen. I mean, like, even if we consider what's that? Is that a SR-71 that flies really fast? I'm not sure, but some jets that fly really fast, like, they're gonna have to go like this to maintain their altitude. They literally have. I mean, even just like a commercial airliner, that's one that we could talk about. like if you're flying from, if it was a sphere or flat, whatever, if you're flying from here to here, if you, what was I going to say? I don't know. You go ahead and comment on that for a little bit. I'm rambling.
Yeah. So you're saying a plane on a ball would have to adjust for curvature?
Well, not necessarily that it would have to adjust, but that the like relative to where it starts, just like your 15 mile or 15 degrees an hour of the sun changing position, you're going to have the airplane has to change every 70 miles. It has to change 1 degree of pitch. And yes, of course, if we consider the heliocentric gravity, of course, the gravity is always going to follow that, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna go on a sphere. I'm saying it's gonna be with the center of the sphere. So the gravity is, so it's not gonna have to change its pitch relative to the ground, but it'll have to change its pitch relative to where it started. And that's where we have right here. This is a device that can do that, and it can record its position in free space. Do you know what I mean? If I go like this, it can record where it's at. So that's another subject though, where you could say, well, that's always on, depending on where that 9.8, whatever that, free fall, it is towards the center of Earth, right? It's just kind of convenient, I think, for either way.
Yeah.
Because I always say down is down and up is up for everybody. And it's true, right? But I just say, well, you know what I mean? Like from where you experience it, like right now in your room, up is that way. And like if you were in Australia, you're thinking that it would be that way if my up was this way or whatever.
Yeah. So
that's
it's all relative.
Yep.
So
the center. You go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I've seen you brought that up. Like you think it's crazy that there are people upside down in, say, Australia, and that doesn't really make any sense for the logic behind why that would be wrong. Because in your relative to where you are, the same amount of force is pulling you to the center as are you in Australia. There's not another force pulling you into empty space. You're just always being accelerated towards the center.
No, I agree with that's on that theory or whatever. I mean, it would make sense. You're not going to ever be pulled that way or that way because the center is always down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So conveniently, the ground is always down. you get what I'm saying, right? I'm just kind of making a joke out of it, but yeah, it is. I think it is quite important where we are perceiving from, because that's really, that's all we have is our senses, and what we perceive that's reality. I mean, that's the world around us. So like for a map, I mean, not a map, but a model that works, I always say, you've probably heard me say it before, the best model is to open that window and go out there. You know, that's how we experience it. We can take pictures. Like I have that drone and I fly it up and I take super cool pictures from up there, and I enjoy that. But I don't live up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you understand that that part of it, and because obviously you see that there are people that are definitely believing something that's different than what the world believes, or the mainstream, what school teaches and what I grew up believing and all of that. But there is something that is different now. You know what I mean? A different way of thinking a little bit. So what else you got to say?
Well, I always hear trust your senses.
Yeah.
to a lot of things.
Yep.
But that way of thinking is also flawed in the sense that trust your senses to tell you the composition of the air. You can't.
You're just
So
saying like
that means
things that
air does not exist.
we don't have
That's what.
we can't see every we can only see certain wavelength or something, right?
Yeah,
Like
the visible
infrared,
light.
we need equipment and we can see that.
Yeah, so when we use equipment to detect the motion of the Earth, people say, other flat earthers just claim, trust your senses.
Well, you got to admit they have a point. They're maybe coming from like they're maybe using that like cheating a little bit with their with their opinion or whatever. They're not really being quite true to what you're saying, I think. But we can look at my phone is just an example of where's that sensor kinetics. We can see if this is moving at all. And whoops, actually, if I do, there's another app I was going to try to find. So what I'm just saying that we can, oh yeah, that's what it was. It was gyroscope or something, or vibrometer. Okay, I'll just pull my camera down and just show you this. Obviously, you know what I'm saying, but whoops. Okay. All right. So that's it'll focus in a second here. I think it should. It'll focus. Come on, focus. Oops, maybe I have to just go a little further away. Oh, there we go. I think you can see that line anyway. It might focus better, but okay, there we go. Now watch if I just tap on my computer just with one finger.
Yeah.
So I'm making the like blatantly obvious point that that our senses are just like this. We don't sense any movement.
Yeah, but neither should that device, because we're an inertial frame of reference.
You're just saying because it's just like I understand that, but I'm saying our senses do show us, our sensors show us that there's no movement. So you're talking about rotation, right?
So that's still movement of.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yep. But that's like specifically what you're talking about is the rotation, because we wouldn't this wouldn't pick up the rotation in the same way that, well, the vibrometer app or whatever that we just looked at, that wouldn't pick up the rotation. But this, interestingly enough, if I could, because this, it all depends on how this works. Like if I, oops, I'll give you an example. This is kind of interesting. Where's that app? Surface level. Yeah, it's this one right here. Whoops. I'll get my camera down here again. You've seen this one, I think. I'll actually tip it so that we can, whoops. I'll tip it so that we can kind of do an experiment. Okay. See, I have it propped up on the computer there. So if I hit, I think it's this button. Yeah, it resets it. So now it just calibrated that to it's like when an airplane takes off. If they were to spin up like an old fashioned gyroscope. So they're calibrated now. So now if I flip my phone around and do a bunch of woo woo and set it, I'll set it the opposite way, and obviously it's not going to be right. And then if I set it back about the same way, there it is. So what I can actually do, I don't know if this app has it, but there's apps, it's that sensor connector ones. You can get a graph. You can get a graph of every movement that your phone made and the position, like as far as X, Y, where you were when you can follow that. So I don't think that relies on gravity, but to sense the positioning throughout that, it's relying on what we're calling gravity. So I don't know if I don't think it's measurable, or I don't think there's a way to measure it, is what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
The movement?
Well, if we look at a graph of all the movements this phone made and we went 70 miles, we calibrated it here. We go 70 miles, we should be able to, if we calibrate it, it should be a degree off. Do you know what I'm saying? But is the phone getting its position the whole time from straight down? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it would be.
It wouldn't be accurate to it. Who knows what it would do, is what I'm saying. Because we can fly in a jet in like very short time, 70 miles. And if the phone was going from here, like just geometrically was going from here to here, 1 degree or whatever, the phone should be able to pick that up, you'd think. But is it? I really don't know how that works. So it's like it would be like a cloudy experiment anyway, the results. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, back to the whole gravity, because gravity would explain that. It's like you attach a string to like this ball, and you have a string, and as you move, that string's going to put a force that is down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of simulating the effect of gravity, as it's a constant force making you level to the ground. So you wouldn't expect to see a change.
It's always pointed straight down from wherever you
Yeah.
are. Or if there's an object here or here, they're both pointed down to what you're saying is the center, and I'm just saying, yeah, they're just pointed down. But either way,
Yes.
they're down. Yeah, either way. The whole time there's that. Like if it fell out of the sky, it would be doing a straight line to the ground, like straight below it, right to the ground. Whether gravity was doing it or whether it was just the nature of the Earth, and gravity is like imaginary kind of. Now, I think the one thing I can mention about gravity is, my understanding is, obviously we can, with your experiment there, it seems like those lead balls or whatever, the lead weights attracted each other, and you did it twice, and they did it both times. And I'm guessing we could do it 100 times more, and the same thing's going to happen. So that is something that I would say, okay, we understand that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like one thing is, if we were in a still body of water, if there was mass like equally, you had 15 pounds, and then I don't remember, but I'm saying if we built this experiment bigger, is what I'm saying, and we had like even in water, those things should still pull to each other if it's like a still pool of water that doesn't have any drag anywhere. It should work the same. And I don't know, maybe it would, but I think to tie that with something that we're seeing in the sky to like basically prove something. And I'm not saying you're doing this, I'm saying this is just what the whole thing is. Like, is Jupiter and its moons, and Saturn has moons. Mars, I'm sure does. I don't know. I don't really pay attention, but I've seen Saturn's and Jupiter's just through my own telescope. But to say that those are going around those planets because of the gravity that we're feeling going down, it feels automatic to connect those two. But I think that's part of a trick, like a old trick. Because do you want to look at some of the Enoch stuff? Or, well, we'll do that another. Actually, I did a video. You might have seen I put out a couple videos today on my channel, and then on Facebook. Sorry.
Yeah.
They were about Babylon, and I think that we're at the time of the end. That's what I think.
Well, there has to be a lot of stuff, because I've seen your take on how the rockets are the beast, but But in Revelations, it says the first beast will give the second beast power, and you're talking about the second beast. So what is the first beast, and why, and what power did it give?
That's a good. I'm glad that you asked. I'm glad you asked. That's a great question. There's the one that comes up from the sea first in Revelation 13 verses 1 and 2, and I think it's like it says like a leopard, and it has the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave it its power, seat, and great authority. So actually, you know what? Can I do a screen share and then show you like towards the end of one of the videos that I made today? Might as well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If you got time.
Got time.
Just because it'll probably explain, because actually this exact thing I went over in my video. Let's see, which one do I got to do? I think it's this one. Oh, it's me. Let's see here. We had to go to, can you see my, oh, I'm on the wrong page. Okay. I was trying to do it on the Hangout page. Okay. You can see me doing Creator Studio, right?
It's still, yeah, now it is.
Okay. Sorry about that. Now, let's see here. This is, what was the thing that you just said? Because I don't remember which video it was in. It was in one of these two videos.
Yeah, it was about the first beast giving power to the second beast.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I'm just going to skip to... it was kind of a funny one, but I'm going to play it because you'll like it. It's kind of funny the way that I put some music to it and everything and made it a little bit funny. Oh, here. Okay, I'm going to play it.
Against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. A destroying wind. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about.
Okay, I think you're right here.
Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend
Yeah,
his
check
bow,
this out.
and against him that lifteth himself up.
To go up,
brigandine,
ascend, climb.
spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine.
That's a suit of armor. To go up, ascend,
Him
climb.
that lifteth himself up in his brigandine.
It's like that. So I made this. You'll laugh.
Men, destroy ye utterly all her host.
Elon in his brigandine.
Now the time has come to write the next great chapter in the history of our armed forces, to prepare for the next battlefield, where America's best and bravest will be called to deter and defeat a new generation of threats to our people, to our nation. The time has come to establish the United States Space Force.
Oh, jeez.
What was once peaceful and uncontested is now crowded and adversarial.
Whoops.
Today, future.
Okay, I'm going to pause it, and I got to find the spot. That was kind of funny, but let's see here. The dragon gives the beast its power, seat, and great authority. So that would kind of match this being the beast. I don't know. It could be considered that it has the feet of a bear because, let's see here. Because Russia is the only way to get to and from the ISS for astronauts, because the shuttle program was shut down in 2011. So I think that NASA is one of those 7 heads that was wounded to death. I'm gonna go back. I think it was actually in this one. Let's see.
Drunken with wisdom and revelation horrible and the beast
Sorry.
which I exercise of the whole.
Okay, yeah, here. Okay. We're just gonna play the end of this if you don't mind. This is I think the ISS is the first one. And then it's in the second one, it has the power to do those miracles in the sight of the first beast, like in the presence of the first beast. And I think that it's talking about the launch pad, like at Kennedy Space Center, because that's where Dragon is launching from. They're launching from the same pad that Apollo launched from, and then Challenger or Shuttle launched from also.
Yeah, but it says for the first beast, it'll be worshipped by all and demand it to be worshipped.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't think it's demanding it yet, but I think basically what that means is just believing, like having something abide in your heart. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get up in the morning, that like you're waking up with that up there or whatever. Let's see here. There's a part that's kind of interesting where it says, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. And then it says, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. I think that's I think that's the ISS too. So it's when they see it, because we can look up and see it, right? I filmed it several times myself. So I'm just saying, do you understand at all what I'm saying there a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. I think the horns are the dragon capsules. And that's from Daniel that I get that idea. Have you looked at the Daniel stuff much? Whoops.
No, I haven't.
Okay. I do have a few videos on Daniel 7 and 8 where he, in Daniel 7, he sees 4 beasts and they're all different from each other. And then it's interpreted for him. It said that the beasts are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth. And like that could mean different things. Like it could be like a tree arising out of the earth, or it could be like a rocket like leaving the earth. So then I'm just gonna, where was it? It was back here, I think. I'm just gonna play this for a minute. Oh yeah, you gotta see this. This is interesting. Okay, this should be a good place to play it just for a minute here.
In this, in high places, we need to take these words seriously. Let's look at the word seduce. Leading astray, 4105 Strongs. Let's look at this. It is the root of the English term planet, wandering body. This term nearly always conveys the sin of roaming. I lead astray, deceive, cause to wander. Okay, remember Enoch in chapter 18, verse 13 said, I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And it was a waste and horrible place. Remember John went in the spirit into the wilderness? Well, here's what I think. I think these 7 stars transgress their order, and they could be the 7 heads, or 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, on which Babylon sitteth.
I'm gonna skip
Beast
a little
that
bit.
was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7.
Yeah, okay, so that same, the ISS, like what I'm understanding this to be saying is that the ISS, even he is the 8th, like of those 7 stars or the 7 burning mountains or whatever, like the planets. Even he is the 8th and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. That kind of makes sense to me. Like he's the 8th star almost, you know what I mean? Like, because we look up, we can see what appears to be the ISS or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
the problem with this.
Oh, go ahead.
Is that like 40 years ago, this wouldn't work because we had 8 planets.
Yeah, I know. And is there 7 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's actually 8 because of, they say Earth is a planet, right?
Oh, Pluto.
Or Pluto, okay. So yeah, that would make sense. I guess the ones the ones that we can see, like, is Pluto one that we can, is it bright like the other planets?
No, you would not be able to see it.
So that's kind of what I'm getting that from a little bit. Like if Earth,
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
yeah, and then I just noticed another problem that you brought up.
Okay.
That would be 7 planets, including Earth, so that would make 6
Or
actual wandering planets.
okay. I'm thinking there's Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Neptune. I can't even say that I've looked at Neptune with my telescope. I don't think I have.
I don't think you would be able to.
Would it be like too small or too far away or something?
Yeah.
So how many do you think I'd be able to see from Earth with my telescope? Like, I mean, the bright ones, like Mars, Saturn, Jupiter.
Like Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. That'd probably be it. 4.
Okay. And that, now that you're thinking about that, it's probably, I do have good footage of Venus, even in a crescent. And then I have Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. And I think that's all. I don't think I have any footage of any other ones, do I?
I don't believe you do.
Yeah, I don't think I do. So no, that's just something I haven't really thought too hard about. But let me go to where I go into Revelation 13, which is okay right here. Or that was, this is this might be exactly what we're looking for, I think.
The feet of a bear. Okay. Let's go back to Revelation 13, verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. SpaceX Dragon resupplies the International Space Station, and it uses the Falcon 9 rocket to lift the Dragon into orbit. So to end this video, let's watch this SpaceX animation of just that.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast.
Okay, so what I'm thinking that's talking about is possibly the one that was the first beast before him could have been the shuttle. And it might have not be, I don't know. I haven't really thought too hard about that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the deadly wound that was suffered could be the shuttle program retiring. Because it is interesting that they haven't put an astronaut in space since 2011. That's interesting. But
Yeah.
they just launched that Parker Solar one today. I don't know if you saw that. They launched a Delta, like a big triple Delta rocket. Pretty big rocket. But here, let me, I just wanted to pause it there.
Whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Say,
that was actually the verse that I said. Of course, I said one verse, and then we're like all in it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one verse, Revelation 13, verse 13, is very specific. And basically, we're like, Jesus came in John's vision in Revelation 1, and he said, these are the things which are I don't know exact words, but he's to show his servants the things which must come to pass. So when I read about somebody or a beast or whatever making fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, and then this happens in December 21st, 2015, it definitely got my ears perked up. Do you know what I mean? And that's like
Mhm.
the first time that it could be said that literally that verse, the exact same thing as what is in that verse happened already. Because, and it was this thing that did it, because like there's been missiles dropped and stuff, but has there ever really been anything coming up out of the earth, speaking like a dragon with two horns on it or whatever, like a lamb? I don't know. But, and then it comes back down and deceives the world by the means of that miracle. So it's something. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
It's
And the
definitely
problem is
interesting.
So to bring great awe to like the world, like wonder, wouldn't it want to be, well, wouldn't it want to have everyone to know that this is happening as
Well,
of
I think I know what you're saying. You
yeah,
mean like,
'cause not that many people know
yeah.
that.
Well, I think we're all supposed to watch though too, and that's why we end up talking and stuff, because if someone notices it, they're gonna share it with brothers and sisters, everyone. You know what I mean? So I mean, you see me on Facebook, like I'm just saying whatever I'm learning. A lot of it sounds crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm always that nuisance that pops in there
Oh
every
no,
now.
you're not a nuisance at all. I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it. It's great. I mean, we all should have. We should all be testing things. We should all be testing things. That's like the flat earthers motto, isn't it? Research yourself, or what do they say?
Yeah. If
Yeah,
it's not done by yourself, it doesn't exist. That's
yeah.
pretty much.
It is almost true. Like, it's not something that people would notice. Do you know what I mean? But in my mind, I'm like, it's a nasty trick that they're playing on us. But here's the whole, like, where it ends in my understanding is that is why people like, and I'm not like bragging about me. I'm just saying there's definitely a group of people that are thinking like I am, or seeing things differently. And the whole point, I think, of that is for these kind of conversations. And if you think about 10 years of this, what would happen? Like I'm saying, if it was the truth, if flat earth was the truth, and that the deception was like way beyond what we could imagine the scope being, I'm just saying, if it was true, and there was wrath coming like from God, the reason why people are saying what we're saying is because it's such a strange thing to come to. Like people would, like, all this stuff would come on the earth, like the wrath of God would come on the earth, and no one would even know why. Like they wouldn't even know what's going on. And so what I think is happening is it's being revealed to some of us, that we've been deceived. You know what I mean? And so it's like hard to take. It's hard to take, and it doesn't seem right. But it's one of those things that, for me, it's like in my heart. It's like, it's the way I see. It's like different. But I'm sure it seems strange to be not seeing this and be like, look at these people.
Yeah.
But so you got anything else you wanted to mention?
Not really.
Nothing too in particular. Well, you guys should go sub to his channel, DeBoerium. Oh, you know what? I didn't even go and check the chat, did I? Hey, Mark's in there. Mark DeBoer. Cool. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think that the word worship, that's something we could look up too. I think that the word worship could be understood different ways. I think worshiping might just kind of mean to have something like abiding in you. Like, how do you say it? Like when you get up in the morning, if you got any thoughts about it, Andrew?
Well, I would think that it would mean You have to actually worship it. I don't know. I think
Like
it would
bow
help
down,
if
kind of like that kind of.
yeah, the definition would help.
Yeah, it would. And we can even. I'm just gonna. I don't think I'm screen sharing, but whoops. But I'm gonna just. I can probably. Yeah, I can. Or actually, I should go to the other one. Whoops. What am I doing? Okay, I'm gonna open up Bible Hub and we'll check it out. So what verse were we looking at in particular there? I forgot. Whoops. 13:8. Revelation 13:8. We'll check it out. It is fun reading about this stuff, I think, though. Either way, I mean, I think that we're supposed to be interested in it either way. You know what I mean? See, there we are, Bible Hub. Actually, I'm going to do a screen share and just show you how I check it out when I'm doing it. Let's see here. Whoops. Hangout. Okay, screen share. Application window. New tab? Maybe. We'll try it. Okay. Oh, for some reason I thought I had it typed in there. Oh, I gotta go. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Bible Hub. So yeah, it's got all the versions here. And I always click this button is very helpful. The Greek.
It doesn't appear to be on Bible Hub. It's just on the Google search.
Oh, okay. So I'm on. You know what I did? I did the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll just have to redo it on here because. Let's see. Here we go. I did it in the wrong tab or whatever. Okay, so now you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's got all the different versions of it here. I like the King James, but I pretty much like any version. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So if we look at the Greek, let's see what we have. This word, I'm not even going to try it. You can if you want. I'll call it 40. I'll call it Strong's 4352. How's that? And then that's what I'll do is I'll click on it, and then it'll give us to do reverence to. I go down on my knees to worship. Let's see what. To kiss, to reverence, to bow down before, bow down before, bowing down before, or bowing before, bowing down, prostrate himself before. So yeah, it sounds like basically worshiping like you're talking about.
Yeah. Another good theory that have you looked into Revelation Islam? That being
No, I haven't.
You should really look into that because there's a lot of stuff with Islam. You know, the Mecca, they physically worship this cube.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Mecca. Yeah, and there's a lot of good theories about it.
They walk around it?
Yeah, and anywhere on earth you have to worship to it. And that'd be a pretty large lie.
Yeah, that is a huge lie. I never thought of that. And yeah, you know what? You know why they're walking around? Coriolis. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. So yeah, no, that's great stuff. I actually, I should have been checking the chat more often. Because there's a lot. I mean, this is a lot of stuff that I don't think we can know. I think we're all just. It says, "Blessed is he who readeth, and him who heareth." So it's like even just reading this stuff and trying to understand it, I think God looks upon it as a good thing. You know. You know what else is interesting about SpaceX? The little horn that they make, the Dragon 1 capsule that resupplies the International Space Station. They made 10 of those capsules, and then what's interesting about that to me is that both John and Daniel said that the beast, or the fourth beast that Daniel saw, and then the one that is or was and is not or whatever that John sees, they both, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. They both have 10 horns, and they're both called 10 kings. Like the horns are called kings, but to John and Daniel, they both looked like horns. And in Daniel 8 verse 10, this is interesting stuff here. Daniel 8 verse 10, it says something like, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the stars and some of the host to the ground and stamped upon them. That was a he-goat that had a notable horn between his eyes. And am I still sharing or not? Whoops.
No, you're not screen sharing.
Oh, okay. So you just, oh yeah, I can see myself now. Flurf Party. I'm just going to go through the chat and see who's in there. Skyfly Bry, I think. David Allison and Master Queen. Mark DeBoer, Larry, Zoiks. Flat Earther equals refuses everything. It's fake. I have to agree with that. Larry, Asthmatic. And who else we got? Ellen Helvetinilin? Vetilinen? Sorry, I butchered that. Rebecca Simpson. And I already said Master Queen, I think. Larry. Awaken for Jesus. David Allison. Did I already say that maybe? Wow, lots of comments. So yeah, if you got anything, hey, John's in here. I know who that is. Ellen. Lots of comments. That's cool. So yeah, you guys go sub to his channel. I bet you there will be more cool experiments coming up in the future, I bet. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna plan, I wanted to make copper sulfate out of the sulfuric acid I made, which isn't in a video yet. It was the first thing I filmed to do, but it's not finished editing because my friend has some of the video clips in it. So
your dad's now a moderator on my channel.
It's great.
Yep. So if he comments it, it'll be blue, and he can delete people's dirty comments. I trust your dad.
Yeah.
So awesome.
So
well,
maybe
what was that?
Do you want to ask any of the people in the comments any questions they have for believing the heliocentric model?
Sure. Actually, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go back over there. I can't remember how to get there. Okay. Oh, there. Okay. David Romero, David Shearer, Flurf Party. That's just a cool name. Flurf Party. Did you guys have any questions for Andrew? Because he studies a lot of this stuff and obviously has some knowledge about it. I think it's cool, the testing he's doing. All right, yeah, cool. Definitely cool to be testing things. The Bible tells us to do that. I'm looking for questions, but I don't see any yet. I see liked and let's off a party popper. I don't know what that means. I was going to say howdy too. Shalom, howdy. Any skiing news, guys? I don't know. Oh, here we go. SpaceX has 13 vessels off Cape Canaveral for landing pads. Yeah, they're kind of crazy, aren't they? Landing rockets. I don't know about that. What do you think, Andrew?
Oh, I think it's pretty neat because the fact that they can reuse the rockets takes it saves them a lot of money.
Yeah.
To be able to reuse the rockets now, and that might
time money
be in the future. Like
Do you know
the near
launch
future,
one of
20,
those?
30 years.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
To launch one of those Falcon 9s, it's $67 million. So,
yes.
so yeah, if they throw that all away, building the booster, because the booster's like 36 million of it or something. So they're basically saving like $36 million each time they launch that, versus what NASA launched this morning. They don't get anything back. So definitely the commercial space has taken a special angle. Oh, that was weird. I have to tell you what just happened.
What?
I have the Google Hangouts box is like a little bit smaller than the box behind it. And I can see my blind, like the edge of the blind in the box next to this one. And I was moving my hand like this, and there's the delay. So I'm like thinking someone's behind me because I saw my hand all of a sudden go like that. That was weird. Sorry. I'm still learning. But all right, well, I suppose then, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks
Is there
for
any
hanging out.
questions?
Oh, let me go back and check again. Mark DeBoer is a moderator. Let's see here. Yes, there is a question. Can the ball model work since water has magnetic properties? At Andrew.
As far as I know, the water's slightly diamagnetic, but it's such a small force that it won't even, you need like an extreme magnetic field to even influence it at all. And I've heard that some flat earthers claim that is the cause of the tides. But if the earth was flat, how would there be a magnetic field in the first place, as it wouldn't be generated from the core?
Well, that's an interesting topic. Actually, if we go on another time, we should talk about that, because if we like the idea of a core, isn't the core like supposed to be really hot?
Yeah.
And that doesn't work to produce magnetic properties, does it?
Well, in that case, there's I don't recall where it's happening, but there's this really cool research that's happening where it's a metallic alloy called NaC. It's sodium potassium alloy. That's a liquid metal at room temperature, like mercury. And they put it in this sphere, and then they spin it really fast.
And it creates a field?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you have to start it. You have to jumpstart the field, and then it grows really large. And
as it's spinning?
Yeah. So it's not so much that it's hot. The problem with magnet being hot is that it's a constant. It's an object that's constantly emitting the field, and it's like a property of that object.
Okay.
But in the core sense, little convection currents, it acts like coils, because there's like the convection currents. If it gets closer to the center, it warms up, so then it rises and then it cools down.
Out, or as you move out, it's cooler. I get you.
Now, if there's any type of spark in like any electron movement at all, it'll be amplified exponentially very quickly until a point where it can't amplify anymore.
Okay.
And that's how they believe the magnetic field is created.
What about if, I'm just saying for the flat Earth idea of just being like on a circle that's flat or whatever, if there was the North Pole if there was a magnetic something at the North Pole, it would still work out the same, about the same way, like with actual compass. What am I trying to? Yeah, compass, I guess. Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Wow. Why am I having I'm like, it doesn't sound right. Like a compass makes circles, but yeah. Okay. That I'm just saying that would make sense too, as far as it, because the needle's always pointed towards the north. So like if you were like circumnavigating, if you were to picture it like leaving your driveway on your bike and going around the block and then coming into your driveway or coming up to your driveway from the opposite side, you'd think that you'd be banking right, turning like that. But when they're flying on a heading. So they're following the magnetic north, and they're getting their heading off of that. So if you were circumnavigating, I don't think turning that circle over however long of a period of time, if you were flying it or something, that do you know what I'm getting at, or no?
Not really.
I'm just saying that if the north was the center, it just seems to me that if you're flying east, you'd be flying on the flat Earth model. You'd actually be flying you'd be turning the whole time, but you'd be flying one heading. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the needle would be slightly moving as you're moving. And so you'd be constantly adjusting for that to follow that heading. And that heading would be I'm saying the heading would be a circle. If that's the idea anyway. And that's really what we do sense. We don't sense a circle, but I'm saying if we get in a jet and we circumnavigate the globe, we never go upside down. And I'm saying relative to where we started flying, if we fly from here to Australia, we don't ever go like this in the plane and land in Australia that we can sense and perceive, I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It supposedly happens so gradually that we just wouldn't notice. But that's where gravity has a lot in its corner, a lot of tricks up its sleeve is what I mean. I'm not saying
that's why I feel it's important to address.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I think that there's a lot that is assumed at the very base start of what gravity is, and a lot of that gets carried out into things that I don't think it applies to. You know what I mean? But a lot of things the force itself, the downward force, obviously applies to just the way that it does in reality. But it's where it's coming from or where it's going that is like disputed.
Yeah. I remember one of the earlier, like a few months ago, where you talked about a cloud. How would gravity work? Because it's water in the air.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah, but because you mentioned something, because clouds weigh a lot.
Yeah, but they're smaller particles.
Yeah, but they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
The tiny particles, because gravity directly affects the proportion to mass. So if it's, say, a few molecules of water together, then it's not going to have such an effect. Then the buoyant force will push it up to a point where it won't rise anymore. That's why, like there's like a flat thing where the clouds don't.
Yeah, like the bottom side of them.
Yeah.
Like a pressure difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. I'm just saying it, like when they decide to touch each other and come down, and if you take 5-gallon buckets and you catch that and you pick up the buckets, it's something to think about, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we can see them and we can tell that there's a lot of water up there, and they're like those really thick white ones. When they want to let the water down, sometimes they're just like, oof, they just let it pour out. And to me, it's like, wow, that's a lot happening to make that happen. But it could be just the wind coming, or I don't know. It could be a lot of different things.
Well, clouds and stuff like that form because of if the temperature of the air cools, it will rain.
Mm-hmm. Because that's when particles.
Because clouds form because it's more of water dissolved in air as of salt in water, and then if you cool it down, it will precipitate out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the particles get big enough to fall, then they'll fall.
Then once they're heavier than the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they're collected enough to weigh more than, I don't know what you call it, the molecules or whatever of air and that are around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like helium would go up, something that's heavier would go down. Or towards the center of Earth, right? I'm just
Yeah.
teasing. I suppose though. Well, let's see if did that answer that question. I'm sure it did. Let's see. Wow, they got a bunch of comments since I was in there. Okay. Aeronautical charts assume a non-rotating flat Earth. Yes, they do, David Scherer. That's the reference for all flight manuals in government, I believe. So yeah, they're figuring it not on a moving atmosphere, because if you were going to try to fly on a moving atmosphere, that would be hard to figure out, I think. Let's see. Looks like that's about all the questions. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out. That was fun. Thank you, Andrew. Let's see. I'm trying to find. All right. Do you got anything else you want to add before we kick it out of here?
That's good. We could do other talks in the future as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun. Say hi to your dad again. That was fun seeing him. And then, yeah, Andrew DeBoer, and then go to DeBoerium channel.
Yep.
And there's a link in the chat at the top. I'll put a link in the description for the video. Or I mean, comments or something. There'll be a link.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you, Andrew. It was great talking to you.
It was a great time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. We'll do it another time.
Yep.
All right. See ya.